We have a lot to get to. Before we get to that, though, you are welcome to text us. We're going to be doing our Friday Favorites Soundbite Parade next in the 1:30 segment. So if you have any ideas, things you want to hear, things that caught your ear this last week, you are welcome to send it to us at the text line, 888-973-5476, Muckleshoot Casino Resort text line. Or if you have any funny, pithy comments, if you're sarcastic, or whatever you want to put in there, we also read text messages at the end of the show, and you could get famous on the radio. We will say whatever name, as long as it's not a bad word. If you tell us that your name is Frank, we're going to say it's from Frank. So feel free to text us there, and make sure you get those in before 2:30, because that's kind of our cutoff time. All right, right now, there's a story on MyNorthwest.com. If you're like me and you eat a lot of salmon, then this story is going to hit you pretty deeply. And joining us to talk about a scam, possibly, what, with salmon, we have Bill Kaczarba. Bill, welcome to the show.
How you doing? And again, congratulations on the new show.
Thank you.
Thank you,
We
Bill.
listen to you every day.
That's fair. Well, you're required to. It's a compliment, but you're required to.
No, we're not. we have sound we can turn down if we.
Oh, come on, Bill. I come over to your desk and put the headphones on you when our show starts.
Listen to us. Bill works with us here at MyNorthwest.com, and he posts a bunch of great stories. This one has gotten a lot of people to click on it because, obviously, we are in the Pacific Northwest, and we have a lot of salmon around here. So what is this scam that's happening with salmon, or possible scam?
Well, the thing is, I wouldn't necessarily lead with the idea of scam per se. There was a study at Seattle Pacific University from a PhD professor who studied, basically, she had her students look at the DNA of the salmon. And what it showed was, then they went out to restaurants and got all these samples, and it showed that grocery stores were really pretty good on the way they labeled salmon.
Okay.
But in restaurants, 1 out of 3 times, you're not getting the salmon that you think you're getting.
What do you mean by that? So, like, if I go to the store and order salmon, they're not feeding me crab, right? So, like, that's not what you're talking about.
No,
It's the category of
right.
salmon.
We're talking wild salmon, as
Okay,
opposed.
far more fresh.
Right.
Right, and it's preferable for people because wild salmon often is considered higher quality.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have any chemicals in it like the farm salmon does.
It's more expensive, too.
more expensive.
Farm salmon is a lot cheaper.
It's harder to harvest, and like Bill says, it's healthier for you. And there's a definite taste quality between the two. So that's why people step up and pay more for wild salmon as opposed to farm raised.
Can I tell you guys something honest, though?
Sure.
I prefer farm salmon.
Really?
Do you know why?
I don't.
It is so fatty. It's so fatty. Like the
Yeah.
salmon in the wild, they're just like swimming around.
No,
They're living
yeah.
their life.
Yeah.
They're not just sitting there getting fattened up. Like, you think about chickens, right? Chickens who are living in the wild.
Sure.
Or
Free range
chickens.
as opposed to the little
as
plumped
opposed
up.
to the plumped up ones
Yeah,
that get like
yeah.
water shoved into them to make them fatter so they can sell them for more money.
Yeah, yeah.
The farm salmon are so fatty, but my wife won't buy it because she's like, oh, there's all this stuff in it. It's not good for you. But
right.
Well,
Then this study benefits you.
Yeah.
yeah, no, I think
Because
it will.
you're okay with whatever you're getting per se.
Well, I'm not. My wife buys the salmon, so I don't
Yeah.
never get salmon.
But
I
I
like.
think the sound that you have describes this impact to consumers really well.
So Tracy Delgado, and did you talk to her?
Yes.
She's a biology professor at SPU, and she talked a little bit about this.
The consumer should be concerned because this affects their own pocketbook, in which you're being sold a wild salmon, but you're getting a farm salmon, which is cheaper in the market value. And number 2, there are people who are concerned with eating farm salmon. They might not want salmon that has antibiotics, so they're consuming that in their bodies, or these antibiotics can go into the ocean and affect the surrounding fish and ecosystem.
So how do they fight this? Is it just knowledge that these things are out there, so you need to ask specifically? You go to a restaurant?
In fact, that's what she said. You can go to a restaurant and have questions about how the salmon's been tested.
Okay.
Now, I think it's kind of weird if you're sitting at a restaurant and you go, it's almost like a Seinfeld episode, right?
Yeah.
Or that Portlandia episode.
I was gonna say.
What's the name of my chicken?
Exactly. And then they go and see the house
The
that
farm.
the
They
chicken's
join the
in,
cult. Yeah.
Make sure they're fed correctly and all that. Yeah.
Did it die peacefully before it made it to my table?
It's just a truth in advertising story. I mean,
Yes, it really is.
Because I see when you go to a grocery store, they will clearly be required to label what you are buying. But when you go to a restaurant, a sushi restaurant in particular, these guys take great care and pride in preparing sushi the right way.
Yeah, and
when
you know
look
these sushi chefs.
Right, you go to a place that you like and you're a regular and you know the chef and they recognize you. To think that these guys, I know it's a tough time to run a restaurant and margins are so lean, especially in the state of Washington. But if I'm really calling a guy out, are you sure this is wild and not farm raised?
Right.
I'm going to insult the guy asking him.
And Delgado was very clear to me on saying that she wasn't going to say the restaurants were doing this intentionally.
Yeah, maybe they're getting bad info. Sure.
But it's 1 out of 3. So
distributors are the ones maybe running the scam on these restaurant owners. Okay.
Well,
Absolutely.
because they can charge
be.
a higher price for this
Sure. Well, yeah, when you're buying
fattier, better tasting salmon.
So everybody's trying to get their slice.
Yeah, well here's the thing though. You can tell
Their fillet.
You can tell like you said, you can tell a farm from a fresh from a wild salmon. You can, especially when in whole fish.
You could blindfold me. You could feed me salmon all day, and that actually sounds like a dream. I'd love it.
Well, that's what we know we're doing Monday.
See, now
we're
I
taste
can really
testing.
tell the difference.
I can tell the
it sounds
difference.
like
Guys,
you can
okay,
too.
we're going to find a sushi provider in this town to bring in both, and we're going to blindfold you two guys.
Great.
And we are going to see if your palate
light a
is
candle?
as educated as you claim.
Oh, I could
If
all
you
day.
can tell farm from wild salmon.
I think so
Because
too.
whichever one I like better, that's the farm salmon.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I really,
I hear you.
I can tell because the other one, you know why? The other one tastes like the ocean. It tastes like it's been out there in the ocean. The farm salmon, it's so fatty, it's so delicious.
It
I
tastes
can
like
tell.
a farm. They're still in water, right?
No, I know they're still.
I know.
They're
I'm
still
not
in water,
messing with.
but
I'm
like
messing
the other
with.
one tastes like cold water. That is a salmon that like is out there just exploring the world, wearing whatever salmon wear.
Scales.
What is he
scales.
talking about?
I don't
now?
know.
You can taste the hope and the freedom with the wild
Taste the
salmon.
freedom.
And the
Yeah,
despair.
you can taste the freedom in those salmon, and it tastes like the ocean. The farm salmon, I just think. I mean, that's personal opinion. I just think it tastes a little bit better.
Can you taste the surrender and the give up factor of a farm salmon?
The
who's-
couch potato.
A farm
Yeah,
salmon
right.
never even knows that it's in the farm. It just it exists. It's going to be food someday. I mean, they're just like blindly swimming along.
Interesting, yeah.
Do you guys have what's your favorite salmon recipes while we're talking about this? Because I got a fantastic one, especially with farm salmon. If your wife will let you buy the fat stuff, like mine won't.
Okay.
Tell me your favorite salmon recipe.
I like salmon on the grill. I like to pair it with just a little bit of garlic, a little bit of mayonnaise on it to keep the oils in, and some
Nice.
lemon slices. Boom.
Lemon. Why does everyone do lemon slices?
I just like the tart.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't do the mayonnaise. I got to try
I do the
that.
mayonnaise. It's
Do you?
good. It keeps it really tender.
It keeps it
moist.
Keeps it from getting dry.
But I
just
love it
oil.
on the
Yeah,
grill.
it's oil.
Here's a great one. This is fantastic. I got this from my dad. I'm sure he got it from a million people who did the same thing. But you take your salmon fillet. You have an egg and an egg.
Egg wash?
Egg wash.
Okay.
No, not an egg wash. It's like you dip it in an egg and milk combo.
Okay.
Whip it together, almost like you're making a scrambled eggs.
Okay.
But you dip your salmon in that, and then you take your salmon and you dip your egg washed salmon in breadcrumbs on both sides, and then you grill it in butter, like thick butter,
Okay,
like
like a
deep
pool
butter.
of butter, yeah,
Pool of butter.
yeah.
And you cook it on each side for, I don't know, probably like 4 minutes on each side.
Okay.
And when you get that thing done, it has saved all of the salmon juices inside
Okay.
those breadcrumbs.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, it is so good.
Sounds like a low-calorie recipe.
It's a very, very high-calorie recipe. No, it's a lot. It's a lot. And it's just one of the best things you could possibly ever eat.
Are you a big sushi fan?
I
Are you
love
a big
sushi.
salmon sushi?
I love sushi. Yeah,
Okay.
I love
Okay.
raw fish. I can't.
Yeah.
Again, I mentioned I'm allergic to shellfish.
Shellfish, yeah, you gotta
so
be
I have to
careful.
avoid that. But
Yeah.
I love the.
I think it's interesting that salmon's considered so healthy, and you take that salmon and you put eggs
bathe
on
it in
it.
mayonnaise and butter and
Well, here's the thing that I
crumbs.
learned, and I don't know if this is scientific, but I learned this because salmon is so healthy. It's good for your heart. They talk
Yeah.
about that. It's like a good
the right kind of
healthy
omega
thing.
fats, yeah.
Yeah, it's a healthy fat.
Yeah.
So basically, it's canceling each other
You're
out. So
balancing the two.
it becomes food
So
neutral.
it's a neutral, yeah, okay.
It becomes celery almost with all this stuff. I don't know that that's scientifically true, but I tell myself in my head,
Sure.
it makes me feel good.
Sure.
All right, well, Bill Kaczarba, thank you so much. And if anybody's interested in reading more about this, then go to mynorthwest.com. They can look up this
And we
salmon
also
story.
have a link to the actual study in there, too. So
Oh, great.
if you really care about that stuff.
I think people do. People sure care about fish these days.
Yeah, and this story's for the vendors or the restaurateurs to be careful to know what you're getting. Make sure you
And
have a
to,
trusted.
and to be honest with
and to be honest with your clientele.
clients
Yeah.
as much as possible.
Oh, yeah, of course. You need to
You
be honest.
hope, but
You
if
gotta
one
be
in 3, if 1 in 3 are giving you farm salmon for a while, that's
You got to
That's
ask.
bad.
You got to be persistent. Laura's right. Just like Portlandia, you got to keep peppering them with questions.
what's the name of the boat it was caught on.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
What
They
was
should-
his name?
they
I
should
want a
know all
photo
these.
of each fish being held up by a guy in a yellow rubber suit. Yes.
What's that fish name? All right, Bill, thanks for coming in, man. Appreciate it.